So what up, family? Welcome back to another podcast, baby. Your favorite podcast, ZV. Hello. How are you guys doing today? Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
It's
Happy Thursday.
almost Friday. We started a little late, but it's okay. Anyways,
We
guys.
call this Little Friday.
Little what?
Little Friday.
What does that mean?
Little Friday.
That's what Italians call Thursday. Little Friday.
Anyways,
You've never heard this?
Oh no, I've never heard of this before, actually.
Okay. Anyways.
So, guys,
Happy
welcome.
Little Friday.
Happy Little Friday. Welcome back to your favorite podcast. Today, our topic is about funding the future. You guys get to decide where you feel is the most appropriate for our future to decide where we focus on and how we grow as a country, in the world, however big you want to feel. But would you rather fund for more discovery in space or the sea, the ocean? With that being said, since Colony doesn't go first, we're gonna go roll over to Z, baby boy. I'm sorry, but today I'm gonna pick on you.
What do you mean today? It's all the time.
Every time. Yeah, I mean,
Every
you're not wrong.
time.
Ever since you told me
Every
that
time.
48 hours is enough for appliances, I think you deserve it. But
I mean,
anyway,
I get it. You come to me for advice. It
you're
makes sense.
terrible. So start off. What do you feel first? Like, what are your thoughts?
Honestly, I'm leaning more towards space for funding, but I also do have a few things to talk about for
Before you
sea
start,
side.
can I actually, Venus, what are you like? What are your thoughts? Just like, where are you leaning more towards?
I am Team C. I did my research. I looked around, and I'm Team C.
You look like an ocean dweller. Not gonna lie.
Is it surprise anybody? Yeah, I'm anti-space, so that's where I stand.
Okay.
Fair.
Okay. Well,
Fair.
I am leaning more towards space. But if you guys change my mind, I might go to the ocean, but it'd probably be a little bit hard. But Z, why? So start us off with a little something of what you feel like why we should fund our future towards space versus sea.
Okay, so I just wanted to bring this part up first from C just because it's gonna connect with space, but I like the fact that the C part we just we s- we're next to it and we still haven't explored the entire thing. We haven't explored all of our oceans completely. Like for example, the Apollo 11 rocket engines. So, um, there were Apollo rockets sent into orbit in the 60s and 70s when rockets have different stages in their liftoff. Like their first stage, uh, their set of engines disconnect after getting the rocket in the air and then drop into some part of the world, right? So these specific engines were believed to be lost forever. It's kind of weird, right? How do they get lost
Yeah.
within our world? Um, but they were eventually found at the floor of the Atlantic Ocean, thanks to good old Jeff Bezos wanting to use his "fuck you" money for bragging rights. Because now he's got it in his own museum of flight located in Oregon.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Um, but it's stuff like that, right? The fact that they managed to find it in the ocean where they considered it to be lost. So I think little things like that is pretty cool and kind of leans a little towards sea exploration and funding for it. But I'm definitely leaning more towards space. I'm gonna tell you why, all right? So the Apollo 11 being the
Jesus Christ.
first space flight on July 20th, 1969 to achieve landing the first set of humans on moon. Let's not get into the debate of whether it's real or not because that's not what we're here to talk about.
I am, but go ahead. No, I am. I am.
Okay, so I'm curious how long it'll take for us to get to the point to reach the event horizon. And the event horizon is this outer boundary of a black hole loosely considered to be its surface. It's considered to be so great that not even light is fast enough to escape it. Now, let's skip these semantics. But Einstein definitely said humanity can never learn the secrets that are kept inside black holes.
Good.
Black holes do die off, but like, where does it go? Right?
We don't need to know.
Like,
We don't need to know. No, we don't need to know.
I want to know.
Nope. We learned
I
about
wanna
COVID,
know
and
what's
we how did we react? We bought thousands of toilet paper. How do you think we would react if we went to a black hole, bro? Like, I don't think.
Well, that's the fun part.
What?
That's the fun
I mean,
part.
come on.
I think we have different definitions of fun.
Go ahead.
I don't
Continue.
know.
I'm just
yeah,
building
you're-
up my, my thing for you, but just go ahead.
All right. So, it simply shrinks. Like the black holes just shrink, and it pops, and it disappears. But what about the stuff it took in? Light, right? Like, where does that go? Is there a possibility that all that stuff sucked in can still exist? You guys ever see the movie Event Horizon?
I have.
I
Yes.
have, yes.
It's for anyone that hasn't. It's a story about a rescue crew tasked with investigating mysterious reappearance of a spaceship that had been lost for 7 years. In the movie, there's a ship called Event Horizon, which was supposed to explore Neptune but disappeared. Anyways, in the movie, one character explains a new type of traveling through space by a gravity drive.
Mm-hmm.
He gets a piece of paper, pokes one hole at the top and one hole at the bottom of the paper. He asks, what's the fastest way from that point to point? Well, it's 0. So he proceeds to fold the paper in half so both holes on the paper can meet. He says, it folds space so that point A and point B coexist at the same time. After they pass through the gravity drive, space unfolds back to normal. So it's essentially folding space so they can like touch like point A to point B can touch, and it'll be like crossing a street. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I get it,
Yeah,
but
the
I
ma-
also like it sounds impossible, but also logical at the same time. So like that's where I am. But I'm with you so far.
Right.
So it's all about
Right.
discovery, though, because like
Yeah.
at this point we're very unknowledgeable. Like people say that statistically, people have said that we've explored 5% of space, right? But how is that determined? Like we don't know.
That still seems like that
it's
still
so
seems
dumb
like
to
too much.
say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you could say that
You
we've
have to
explored
know.
5 to 7% of the ocean because we have an
We know
actual
how much.
Right. We don't know how
Like, that's
deep it
believable.
goes, but
Right.
we know at least where there's an endpoint. Like there's no endpoint to space that we know of.
Right. So, a little bit of a sidetrack for this, but this movie was direct inspiration for the game Dead Space.
Interesting.
So,
Good game.
now imagine going through that point A to point B through that gravity drive, right? And in the middle of that like intersection that you're crossing from point A to point B, what's in there? What did you pass? And now imagine, in Dead Space, you end up finding in that little intersection, you end up finding that thing that ended up creating all those like xenomorphs or whatever you call them in Dead Space.
So it sounds scary.
Yeah, it's very scary, very terrifying. And another thing that was used as inspiration from that movie is do you guys are you guys familiar with Warhammer 40K?
Yes.
So
I don't like
there's
the game.
this I don't I never actually found out if it was like direct inspiration. But so there is Chaos Space Marines, Chaos Legion. And in the 40K universe, they use this thing called the warp, which is their way of traveling from point A to point B, which is essentially this, like what the Event Horizon did. And they say that in the middle of that warp, there's just so much. There's a theory that there would be things so unimaginable to the brain, while making that travel from point A to point B that can be a myriad of things that we can't comprehend. Um, and it makes people go crazy. And the only people that can actually go through it is the Chaos Space Marines, the Chaos Legion, because they're already fucked. Uh, so like, just imagine us like going through that. Like in the movie, um, after they pass through the gravity drives, he was talking about how that the hole itself that they travel through would be a singularity that was man-made rather than naturally made. And a singularity is the center of a black hole, which is a region where space-time curvature becomes infinite. And that's where I'm like bringing up the question, like what happens to the stuff that's in that black hole? Um, and in the movie, the ship Event Horizon goes through and comes back years later with the crew dead and a gruesome scene left in the cockpit. Um, so like that's that's just like crazy. Like what possible things could you be going through when you're actually folding space itself just to cross the street light years away?
So besides knowledge though,
Ooh.
what else are you looking for when it comes to like space discovery? Cuz I'm with you. I'm team space. But like is it information that you want to know?
Yeah, it's that's part of the exploration. It's whatever you
Okay.
find, like whatever we find, like that's the fact that we can't comprehend it is interesting enough to want to like explore it.
So I want to add on to your stuff because the biggest thing for me when it comes to space is how we benefit from it. Um Besides making history, gaining more knowledge, what can we do with that knowledge, right? So there's been a lot of benefits that we've already created because of exploration of space. I don't know if you guys knew this, but this actually baffled me when when I figured this out. But the what's it called? Since the start of modeling fluid flow through rocket engines, space engineers helped design the heart pumps. I don't know if you guys knew that, but these pumps keep people in need of heart transplants alive by enabling blood to circulate through their body until a donor heart becomes available. And that was actually created because of space engineers and traveling through space.
Right.
And for
So like
go ahead.
no, you finish up and then I'll bring it up.
Well, so I mean, so like, I want to know what we can gain more out of to help
Well,
us
yeah,
here.
and this goes back. So like, I don't know if you guys remember, Elon Musk was like trying to do this giant expedition, this one-way trip per se to Mars, and people signed up for it and all that. But like, just imagine we get to that point that Einstein said we couldn't get to. The fact that we'd be able to travel light years away somewhere else that it could probably be much more habitable than Earth,
Sounds like a
or
movie.
much less.
Sounds like straight like a
Yeah,
movie.
that also kind of reminds me of Interstellar.
Mhm.
I've been thinking
That's
about Interstellar the
crazy,
whole time
yeah.
you've been
Yeah.
talking. Yeah.
Yeah, like the
Mhm.
possibilities are endless. If we can somehow manage to get to that, I know like you're speaking more facts than me. I'm speaking more of like hypothesis, like what if, you know, like hypothetically, if we could actually travel through black holes, whether this goofy stuff of like uh, event horizon would happen or not, just
Mhm.
push that to the side. If we can make that travel happen, just imagine what our world would be like.
We wouldn't be in this
Because
world, bro. We'd be
we'd be in multiple. I would say
Yeah.
we'd be in multiple. I would say we would have multiple different worlds, and how our countries are right now, I feel like that's how the worlds would be. Where like one
Mhm.
world would be specifically US, one world would be specifically
That is
Japan,
deep, bro. That is deep.
right? And we can travel light years away. So like Japan wouldn't be like Mars distance. Japan would probably be by the next sun,
Bro, that's
by
gonna
the
be one
next
hell of an
star.
Uber Eats wait.
Yeah, yeah, for real.
Yo, that premium is really gonna pay off.
Hey,
You really gotta
babe,
get
I
the
know it's
premium at that
Tuesday,
point.
but what do you want for lunch for Saturday? Oh my god.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
that's
so this
crazy. That would also give, like, a whole new meaning to the term long distance relationship. Like, having a
imagine.
You're
Oh
not
my
even on a
god.
cell phone anymore, bro. You're like on a telecom or something.
you're
Oh, but that's
sending messages back and forth on
this
this
is
telecom, but they're light years apart, so,
but
like,
then
you're older by the time you get a
that's so upsetting too because like Interstellar is like my favorite movie of all time,
It's a gorgeous
and
movie.
when you see him like every few hours checking these messages from his kids and they're
Mhm.
like growing up as he hasn't even like gone through an entire day.
Sobbing.
That's
I
so
was
sad.
sobbing. I was
Yeah, it's oh
sobbing.
my god.
That
Can't
broke
even
me.
imagine that. Yeah, for
No.
real.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
But that would be crazy. Like, that would be wild. It's certainly something that I think would alleviate a lot of, like, the resource burden that we experience, like, all being here on one planet. Obviously, we are using up a lot of things really fast, and they're disappearing, and it's good. So to be able to spread out would relieve a lot of that. Same thing with our output, our carbon footprint. You have this many people on this planet emitting each a carbon footprint. Like that's how we've gotten to where we are, where there's some problems with the ozone layer. I hear there's like holes up there and shit. But
And
you know,
shit.
we're something like that. I don't know.
All
Do I look
those
like a NASA
little flibber
scientist to you?
flabbers.
But if we can spread out amongst the stars, perhaps each planet could, at least for a long time, manage their populations more sustainably.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
speaking of managing from like space, so like I really like Z that you're more open to like hypothesis. I your mindset right now is so different than mine because I was thinking, for me, I'm looking at it more for like how it relates to us today. Like
Mhm.
Right.
so for me, um, I was doing quite a bit of research on how this process works, and so like I don't know if people know, but like throughout space travel, astronauts are affected by like microgravity, radiation, isolation, all that type of stuff. And some of the changes in their bodies are similar to health problems associated with aging or like a sedentary lifestyle here on
Mhm.
Earth. And I'm very intrigued of the scientific knowledge and technology that we've built today because of traveling through space.
Mm.
Which we have barely done, mind you.
Exactly, like
Barely.
very little. And again, for somebody to put a percentage on space is absolutely insane. I think
Yeah.
whoever made that number their credit score should be 0. Anyways, so
Not their credit
I'm
score.
sorry, but that's just wild to me that
It probably is.
so the one thing that blew my mind was for the science experiment that was performed on astronauts in space and proved our understanding of metal conditions on Earth. One of them was for the for brain surgery. They actually had it to where like they made like a machine um based off of details that engineers were able to provide, that there's a machine now that can operate brain surgery.
Oh, like the
Yeah,
remotely
exactly.
controlled. I've seen stuff about that, which is
And I
crazy.
didn't
How
know.
like, quick question, would you guys agree to having if you had needed a life-saving brain surgery and they were like, "We can do it today, but it's gotta be done by this robot that's controlled by a surgeon across the country." Would
Well,
you
at that
say yes? Are you
you have no
comfortable with that?
choice. You have no choice. You either accept death or you
Is there a
accept
third
that.
option? Like, are you
Okay.
telling me that's my only
This is a
option?
good point. Your other option is to wait for a physical surgeon to do the surgery, but waiting could mean you'll die before it happens. So there you could wait.
But
They
I
let's say
have
they
a
give
higher
you
chance of
like a
dying.
50-50 chance, like you yeah, right. So like would you, for a better chance at living, would you trust the robot to do your brain surgery? Because I'm gonna be honest, the technology innovation of that is amazing to me, but it does freak me out a little bit. The idea of a like, what if homeboy's like directing the surgery and like his cat just like knocks a glass of water on his
He's not
keyboard?
doing it from home, you idiot. It's not-
Yeah, you're gonna have your cat in a surgery room.
It's not his own PC that's doing this.
He's actually playing robotic simulators.
He's a surgery simulator.
He's doing surgery, and on his other monitor, he's playing CS:GO, bro. That's not how it works.
That's the same robot
This is
from
so
Iron Man
stupid.
1 that just kept blowing him with the fire extinguisher.
Oh my God, Venus, that just blew my mind that you just said that.
Oh,
Holy
man.
shit.
My
I love
question
that's
still
that's
stands.
where you go first is just the cat. Like the cat has to knock the glass of water over first before anything else happens.
That's just that's the image my brain produced. I don't know what to tell. But my question stands. My question still stands.
Well, I watched enough of The Good Doctor to say that I'm gonna do it now. I would honestly take the surgery because at that point it's like I have a higher chance of dying. I'm gonna die either way if I don't do this, so I might as well risk it. And if it's,
But what if you had waited? You would have lived because the human surgeon wouldn't have had a
are
technical
you saying that I'm gonna
issue.
die? You just said that if I would have lived. Are you saying I'm gonna die?
Well, maybe I misspoke. I mean, if you say, okay, I don't want to do the robot surgery. I want to wait for a human surgeon, but like the human surgeon operates on you and you live.
Look,
Like,
I'm
so
gonna sound like a Skynet dick rider here, but that robot was like specifically made for this brain surgery.
he's over here
That
defending the
person-
robot.
That
He's like,
person,
don't you?
that person probably at one point changed their majors like 3 times.
They spent nights crying.
Yeah,
They
for
had a
real.
rough go.
Yeah, this
I-
robot's not gonna cry. He came here to do business.
I would trust a robot, honestly. I would trust a robot.
Fair enough.
Would you?
All right.
Doesn't sound
it-
like it.
If there were other options available to me, I would take them. If I had no options, I would
Given the
submit to
same
the
options.
robot
No,
overlord.
given the same options, you had option A. We can get your
Okay.
surgery done no, listen. We can get your surgery done tomorrow. Okay. Your likelihood of dying is 15 to 20%, which is high.
Okay.
Or you can wait for the surgeon if you prefer not to do the
Mhm.
robot. However, there's a possible chance of you dying beforehand.
Mhm, mhm. I would wait.
You're crazy.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I'm gonna be honest.
Wait, why?
Because it freaks me out a little bit. Freaks me out a
Just
little
watched
bit.
too much Terminator.
I have watched too much Terminator, and the
Well,
idea
stop.
of something mechanical being like the thing that is sticking its pokies in my brain, and like I don't know, like that just to me, I can think of a million Final Destination ways that that's gonna go wrong, and I don't know, like I just feel more comfortable.
Okay,
if it was a
okay. So
person.
not to like shit on your decision, but I'm going to.
If you will,
So
but
like,
okay, yeah.
what if the surgeon sneezes?
That's why
This
they
is
wear
like the
masks.
equivalent of that
No,
cat
They wear
knocking a
masks.
water
What do you-
over
I don't
their-
care. I don't care if like mid like they're at a point in your brain where they can't go back and they got to take a sneeze. What are you doing?
You gotta
Nothing.
take a sneeze.
Like they're gonna like shift a little bit on their hand. I've never seen somebody sneeze and not like move their hands or curl their toes. Actually, curl their toes a little bit weird.
Curl
Oh,
their
my bad.
toes.
My boy, what kind of sneezes
What
you
kind of
going
sneezes
through?
are you having?
Hold on, come
Can
on.
I have
That just came out differently. Hold on, that came out differently.
A little
My
bit.
boy's having the time of his life for that 1 second.
Yes,
Imagine
he
when he gets
really
three-
did
leave
imagine
it
when he
alone.
gets 3 sneezes in a row.
Shut up. Listen, hold on.
That boy's stretching his
Take
whole
me
body.
serious.
How are we gonna do that? How is that supposed to happen?
I personally think that there are more human errors than robotic errors. Honestly, even and it's harder for a person to mess up when there is control factors, right? Like on a keyboard, like WASD, up, down, left, right. Like that's it.
Mhm.
That's all you can do.
Okay.
But like for humans, we tend to not go left, right, up, down. We would go a little bit to the side. The 130-degree angle versus 100-degree angle. You know what I mean? So like you
I mean,
really
yeah, people are
trust
already terrified about AI as it is right now.
right.
Like, they feel like AI is
Mhm.
gonna take their jobs when AI barely does a good job with, their
It
rewritten
can't make hands. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
from the discovery of space and this machine that made that technology because of the research, you're still willing to stick with traditional style of surgery versus enhancements that can be potentially saving your life at a faster pace. Like you still think that traditionally we
I
should stay where we are.
Well, no, 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 no. I
You're
think that that's
saying that
no, no,
though. You're
no, no,
saying
no,
that
no,
because
wait,
you're
no, no,
not
no.
willing to give that a try.
Okay, but I can have a separate opinion about, like, what I'm personally comfortable with
Right.
versus what I think is good for society. Don't get me wrong, I think
Hmm.
the innovation of this surgery is a tool, this robot, it's great. I think it's really cool. It should exist. I'm glad it exists. I hope a lot of people benefit from it. I'm sure they do. I'm sure they will. However, multiple things can be true at once. I can mean that, but then also have because here's the thing. I'll openly admit that my feeling about preferring a human surgeon over a robot surgeon is not I'm not that's not a data-driven decision. I'm not
Okay.
going to claim that it is. It's an emotional decision. It just feels more comfortable that it's a human even though I know that that's technically the more error, prone option. And I'll compare it to this. When I get on an airplane, I know that statistically, I'm far more likely to die in a car crash than an airplane crash. But when I tell you that I fear for my life every second that I'm in an airplane and I throw up and cry and have panic attacks, but like when I drive in a car, I'm not afraid. I'm not a problem. I feel like I'm more in control. I know that's not data driven. I know that's just my emotional
Okay.
perception, but it doesn't make it any less like
I don't know
real.
why
It
And
that's
this
doesn't
is
make
what I
it
uncomfortable to
like
hear
feel
too,
though.
because like
different.
I'm glad you brought that up too, because it's so natural when something new comes up, and a lot of people are very anti new because they're not used to it. They don't understand it yet. Like,
Mhm.
I'll give you like a really small example. Like, imagine credit cards when they first came out. How many people were super against credit cards? Or could you
A
Yeah.
lot.
imagine, And they're like, no, no, no,
Mhm.
no, we're sticking. And to this day, there's a
My
lot of
money
people that,
on a piece
yeah,
of plastic?
yeah,
Nonsense. Yeah.
yeah. And they're sticking to just
Cash and
cash.
gold.
Yeah.
Mhm.
People
Yep.
that will like leave all that stuff in their mattress still. So I'm glad you brought that up. And I'm glad that you're on that side because it just goes to show no matter how new, no matter how advanced, no matter how good it sounds, there's this part of your emotion, there's this part of your brain that is just like, I don't trust it enough just yet. I'd much rather
Right.
take my chances with what I know.
Mhm. I think that's a very human reaction. I think that that's like a natural thing for a lot of people to experience. What you're comfortable with, what you're familiar with is gonna be more appealing. But I definitely think that it's a good thing for anyone who feels that way about things like this to acknowledge that maybe that's not statistically supported. And basically it doesn't mean you gotta hate on the technology. You don't gotta be like against it totally. Keep an open mind, let innovation happen, and you can still like make choices for yourself based on what you're comfortable with. But like, I think it's great. Go robot surgeons. I support you. Yay, yay. Love to see it.
Do you think that sets us back as a species of
No.
just for furthering our discoveries of how things work that we've implemented towards technology?
I'd say no because I feel like that just makes our next leap that much better.
Okay.
Because we'll have that one madman that's like, nah, nah, this. People need to understand this. People need to see this, whether they're scared or not. And that fear
I would say
is what
intuition.
drives.
I would say
Okay.
intuition. I don't know why.
I'd say
That's what
I'll
just what my
agree with
brain is
that.
telling me.
I'll
Yeah.
I'll agree with that, but I'll also agree that it's both.
Mhm.
Okay.
Because that's what will drive that next person to give us that leap that we need. It's not gonna I feel like if people agree on everything, then we're gonna stay stagnant.
Mhm. I agree.
We're always gonna need the people that stick to what they know and don't want to follow that advancement yet, so that the next person can be like, here, let me blow your mind real quick.
Just real quick.
So with space, we can come back to space in a bit. But ocean dweller, why do you say why do you say ocean versus space? So like, give us something from the ocean. Like why should we fund the future more towards the ocean versus the space? Like, what are statistics that we found? Like what's popping besides Ocean Gate messing it all up?
How did you know I was going to bring that up? I was going to be upfront. I was going to just talk about the carbon fiber elephant in the room. Listen, I think there are things that can be discovered in the deep recesses of the ocean that could help us scientifically in probably all kinds of things, engineering, medicine, you name it. I definitely think those things are worth exploring. They should be explored safely, and I don't think Ocean Gate was safe, and I think that a lot of people in the industry knew that. There was a lot of, controversial opinions on whether or not Ocean Gate should have been a thing using the materials they were using. And sure enough, they went down there and they popped. Well, they imploded, but poof, right? Terrifying, horrifying.
Yeah, just like that. Poof.
You want to do it
Just like
again?
that. Poof. Yeah, just like that.
Sheesh.
Just like
Rest
that.
in peace to the
Just
5
like
people.
that. R.I.P. They are down there with the Titanic people forever. And I think it's worth doing, but that wasn't exactly what excited me about funding the future in the sea. Like, to me, that's like take it or leave it, right? Like, if you want to really go all the way down there, I guess, hopefully there's something down there that's worth it. But I was looking at the innovative, currently, being planned out concept of these floating cities, that this is like a way for us to live more sustainably, to relieve some of the pressure. Yes, here we go. Look how
Oh.
beautiful. You tell me you would not want to live in this paradise. Look at these hexagon shapes, so appeasing to the eye, so efficient. I love to see it.
What
Um
what are these specifically? Just islands or?
So these are platforms that would be moored to the ocean floor, and each of these platforms is designed, as you see here, to be part of a smaller hexagon. Which then each of these smaller hexagons, and a
Yeah.
bunch of six, they would each represent a village. And then the whole thing together would be like the whole city, the whole floating city. Now, I will say, so this specifically, the picture we're looking at, this is Oceanics City. This is a concept being developed by a company called Oceanics. Just to give reference and credit where it's due. But so these floating platforms, right? Like these villages, these 6 villages would ideally comprise about 10,000 people in total. And then so underneath these platforms, there would be undersea farming, for seafood, scallops, things like that. And then you would have aquaponic gardening and vertical gardening as well. And it would be no cars, right? If anything, you might have some non-human what is that called? Driverless cars, driverless. I don't know what the term is.
Floating cars?
Self-autonomous.
Floating cars. I mean, I saw some pictures in their concept art that did have little, how you do the swans, It wasn't exactly like that. But
Oh my god, you're hurting my brain today, Venus. Jesus.
Now,
I love
how
these
you tell me you don't want to
explanations.
live here?
I live for that.
Okay.
And a big thing about this too is that it would be a huge answer to the rising sea levels, because if you live in a part of the country that's, inland, you're probably not really aware of the issues that are happening on coastal cities. Coastal cities are experiencing rising sea levels. I originally come from Florida. Miami in particular is one of the biggest urban cities that's dealing with a serious serious problem with rising sea levels. There's parts of the city that were never designed to come in contact with ocean water. And now today, it be sitting up there. It just be creeping up. So point being, this is a thing that's happening, and there's some major metropolitan parts of the country that don't really have like an answer for it. That you can't just throw down sandbags and be like, it'll hold. Like,
Yeah. Good luck, brother. Just,
it's not gonna work. So there's gotta be a solution, because populations, everywhere, but also in these cities, populations are only going up. They're only
Mhm.
increasing. So what becomes the answer then? And this is one proposed answer. We float, and we are just buoys on the ocean. We chillin'. These are supposed to be they are designing them to withstand category 5 hurricanes, all tsunamis, all kinds of any kind of inclement weather. And they'd be self-sufficient. You'd have solar farms, you'd have everything you need to be on a self-sufficient floating island. And like, how is that not appealing? How is that not cool? I was sold. I was like, where can I pre-order my little cube house on Hexagon Island? Because like, I'm ready. Let's go.
How does
I'm there.
So how does the research affect, like, so how does ocean research, like, how do you think we can get there?
So honestly, like, I think it's mostly like a funding and development thing. Like, I don't think there's anything that the average person can do to get us there.
Right.
I think these bigger companies that have these things in mind are gonna have to be the ones to bring them into, because this is big engineering. This is like these are big projects. But I think once the first like functional one is out there, once there's a beginning of it, and that becomes like a visible, tangible reality, a real solution, I think we'll see it pick up. I don't think it'll end up being Waterworld. I don't think we're all going to end up living in floating cities, but I do think I hope and I believe it should become a viable solution for people who are maybe already living somewhere like Miami, where, there's nowhere to go because the water is rising.
Let me counter that real quick.
Mm.
Have you guys heard of the failed islands? That I think it was
Is
Saudi
that
Arabia or
in
Abu Dhabi. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I have
one of
not.
those. They were trying to create an island, and they were trying to make homes there, make a essentially like a whole town on it. And their way of doing it was by putting in a ton of sand over there.
That's why this didn't work.
Yeah,
Wait, it
a
just
Rather
ton
than
of
a
sand.
floating
wait.
platform, like the
Yeah,
floating cities are a
They
floating
just
platform
threw
that's
sand
moored,
in the
and this was
ocean.
just like they were
yeah,
like,
Apparently,
"Wow,
guys,
islands
we'll
are."
get there. Don't worry.
yeah, yeah.
No
That was essentially
shot,
what.
bro.
And then
Yeah.
like you look at it now, and it's just completely
It's
covered. Like,
crumbling.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the sand obviously didn't make it. It couldn't
Who
handle it.
led
There's too
this
much
So
project?
erosion,
I could have told you that myself from
right?
playing Minecraft that wouldn't have worked. I could have told you that. Oh my
It's
god.
amazing. Well, I guess
like,
none of the engineers working on it ever played Minecraft.
yeah, right.
Mm.
So aside from the differences of yours being floating and this one trying to be like actually part of the earth,
Mhm.
um what what would you think could be done differently to actually make it work?
I think the biggest thing is that I think a lot of these types of projects that are very ambitious in their design only end up bringing in the wealthiest of the wealthy to live there or be a part of something like that. And I think that that ends up being something that makes it to where they can't function very well. Like you have to have people who are going to do normal jobs, who even do jobs, who
Yeah.
work, who are used to working, who that's like, you need normal people. Um and the thing is, if the only version of that you're allowing is like you hired a labor force, and like that's just like the dystopian second class of like whatever this luxury community is, that's also not going to work.
Wouldn't you think
Not
that
in the
same
long run.
mindset it would be applied instantly to those floating islands though? Like,
I worry that that's yeah, I
because
think
I feel like something new like that is just always ripe for anyone that's rich. It's
yeah, it's flashy, it looks exciting, it looks like a way
yeah,
out of, like, a lot of big problems. Yeah.
That's why I think personally, I think that's why a lot of companies fail, because they don't look at, they look at more of like economics versus like just our species in general. You know what I mean? They're
Mhm.
just looking for like, I'm gonna bring this specific people in versus just
Mhm.
us as a whole. I think,
Right. They
yeah,
look at us as
yeah,
consumers when
yep,
we are more than consumers. We're
yep.
all part of a community that we are in a symbiotic relationship with. We're giving and we're taking, and we're all benefiting from this process. But if that's not how you're seeing us, and you're seeing us as consumers that you have to extract a profit from to recoup what you spent on the project, and that's the only lens you're going to see it through, you're it's not going to work.
Because
It's
it's
you're going to end up with a bunch of like entitled
exactly,
people on an
yep.
island who are waiting for someone else to bring them their mai tai. Like that's all you're going to have.
Funny,
Yeah.
funny. I just pictured that in my head. I don't know why. It was very realistic. Sorry, I don't
They're all just looking around like, "Where are my drinks?
know.
These
Get them
servers suck."
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, right? Literally.
So what
But
do you
yeah, I
think
think
about
that people is a big
exploration
part of it.
wise?
Exploration, like deep sea exploration?
I
Yes.
would be very intrigued of
I don't
Like,
like,
wanna go.
no.
not that you have to go,
You
but
you would just
like,
you would just want to live
yeah,
at the
Venus,
top
you're
of
in
I
charge
wanna
of
the
live
going
in the
down there.
floating city.
yeah, you don't want to deal with any of the exploration stuff. Here, let me give you an idea of how wild it is that we haven't been able to explore a good chunk of this. Like the Mariana Trench, an oceanic trench that sits to the southeast of the Mariana Islands in the western region of the Pacific Ocean. Its deepest point is approximately 11,034 meters below the surface of the sea.
Ooh,
But the only accurately recorded point is the Challenger Deep, which is
36,000.
10,000.
Are you- Challenger Deep?
Yes.
I thought it was 36,000 feet.
Accurately recorded.
Understood.
Accurately
Understood.
recorded point, which is 10,911 meters below sea level. To give you somewhat of an idea, Mount Everest could sit on the trench and still have 2 kilometers, which is 1 mile left before hitting the top of the sea.
Whew.
People have actually explored Mount Everest.
my brain has a hard time, like, crafting that,
Yeah.
visualizing that, understanding that.
But like people actually explored Mount Everest and it was difficult. It was insanely difficult. I could only imagine how much more difficult it would be exploring the Mariana Trench.
Well, and the thing is, like, on Everest, yeah, the altitude is so crazy and, like, almost uninhabitable that you have to train for it, you have to wear oxygen tanks, but you can physically, as a person, go and do that. You can't
Yes.
swim down to the Mariana Trench even if you bring all the
Mm.
oxygen in the world
Yep.
because you'll be crushed by the pressure. So, like, I'll be honest though, this is actually like the same turnoff for me with the going down deep in the sea. Same thing is why I have this distaste for outer space. This whole the pressure can just make us go poof at any second. I don't
Let's
While
say
don't
I
you
know
were
get
about
that,
that.
forced. Let's say you were forced to go one or the other. Nah, you don't got. You got to make a decision. Everybody in the United States now has to volunteer at one point to spend a month or two somewhere. You got to choose. Legally, you got to choose, or you're sent to
Legally.
prison forever. Where are you
Going to
going?
prison.
that's amazing.
Where
Going to
are you
prison.
going? Prison. Where are you going? Space or sea?
Oh man. See, it's terrifying as that is. At least if I get crushed to death, at least I'm not in the void. At least I'm on my home planet. At least I'm here. And I kind of like have a sense, like where that is because I'm here, even if I'm deep in the endless ocean. Out there, out there, if I get crushed to death by the pressure, I'm in the nothing. I'm in the void. I That freaks me out. That
That's
freaks me
wild.
out.
That's
I
wild to
don't know.
think about, right?
Yeah, that makes me
Mm-mm.
unsettled. That's unsettling.
I
Mm-mm.
have the opposite mindset.
You're like,
I want
"Freedom
100%. Like I'm in the sky. I'm in the stars right now.
with the story."
That's just how I see it. I don't know. I'd rather travel
You're an
space.
astronaut in the ocean.
Imagine if I was that 0.1% of being able to find a new life form or explore a new livable area
Mhm.
besides Earth. Like that would be so much fun for
That'd be
me.
crazy.
You know how equally terrifying and cool it would be that it's a one-way trip too, and people will probably never figure out if you actually survived or not.
Yeah.
That's creepy. That's creepy.
But
I didn't
I
think
would be
about that.
okay
Mm.
if Mars was good, and apparently there's water in Mars. So like if Mars is livable, I came
Fine.
there and there's a certain area where I can breathe and wear my Adidas clothes. Oh shit, I'm
Wear
living,
your
baby.
Adidas
I'm
clothes.
living,
Yes.
baby.
Oh my god.
Colony's not gonna put up a flag of the
No.
US. He's gonna put up a flag of Adidas.
And a Podkrew flag. Yeah.
Sponsor us.
Right. This man's family's
That's right.
set for life. They're like, yeah, he did it.
In the ocean,
Get him.
I'd be really interested for exploration if the new, I guess, materials or resources that we could find down
Yeah.
there.
I think there's some good stuff down there.
And
I do.
we just don't know. Like think about it. Like from the core of the Earth, what is allowing us to stay in space, rotate? You know what I mean? Like there's got to be something all connected within each other, and we just know
Mhm.
because we can't dive deep enough into the ocean. I mean, so
Right.
we've discovered what? Salt, sand, gravel, copper, nickel, iron, crude oil, like, and we use that now today for human lifestyle.
Everything.
So like
Yeah,
that,
for
it's
everything.
great. What else are we missing? What can we make more out of that? That's what I
Well-
would go for exploration, 100%.
There is a movie, 2 movies actually, who put forth this theory that if you go down in the Marianas Trench, there's megalodons down there.
I would tame one.
So maybe there's megalodons.
Imagine
It
there's
could be a
kaijus.
resource. Not the kaijus.
Like
I
Godzilla's
mean-
just chilling down there.
I mean, that would be so cool though. Like I know that would be like dangerous, but I kind of want it to happen. I do. Like it'd be so cool. It'd be so cool. I want to see a giant creature. I really do.
That's terrifying. That would be like very terrifying. I'd probably shit my pants, not gonna lie.
What if there was like a deep space creature?
Oh, I'd take a selfie with it.
You- I'm glad that's the first thing you bring in with you. Fucking phone.
Yeah, that's right.
That flashlight is gonna get you killed. I'm just saying.
Mhm.
Like what if that that fish from Rock Bottom in SpongeBob with the light over his head that like uses
That's an angler.
his tongue.
That's an angler fish.
What if those things are like also in space?
Oh,
Just
well,
like flying around, swimming around, whatever you want to call it, with like their
Swimming.
little light bulb.
so it's funny you bring that up because I was watching this TikTok and it was talking about how we have discovered like through the long range like Hubble telescope that there's a planet way off, far away. But we observed light patterns on this planet that are, at least to the best of our knowledge, these light patterns are only explainable by the existence of civilization on that planet. Like they're light patterns that look like ours, like they indicate cities, like they indicate civilization.
Dang.
So it's begun like kind of is that where they are? Is that where they are? And I was wondering the other day, I was like, what do they look like? Like,
What if it's like parallel too, and right now there's like a pod crew over there talking about us?
Just talking
the same
about
thing.
us.
yo, the crossover episode we all need. Yes.
Right.
Their name is Crew Pod.
Crew pod? Oh my god.
We're waiting for you, Crew Pod. We're waiting for
This is
you.
so stupid.
I love it. You can't discount it. The universe is infinite and full of possibilities. So I'm going to choose to believe.
Yeah, crew pod, we're waiting for you.
This is not sticking. Please stop.
Oh, yes, it
No,
is.
please stop.
I need a beanie that says Crew Pod.
Please stop.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Mm-mm.
Or you could just it could be reversible. It could say Pod Crew and then you just reverse the beanie. It says Crew Pod.
Crew pod, yo.
Z, what would you choose if you had to choose between either ocean or space? You were forced to explore one for a month or two. Where are you going?
Oh man. I'd love to do both. I'd probably stick with space though.
Space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do
He's
you
about
want
to
to find?
fold that black hole open. Mhm.
Hold on. At what capacity of travel are we doing?
You're
So
coming
like
back.
our
Yeah, I mean that.
right.
if
No,
that's-
okay, cool. Yeah, I get that.
If
but,
you survive.
but are we going hypothetical like we can actually travel like light years, or are we only because
You have to go to
Let's be
Mars
realistic.
or
Let's be
Mars?
realistic. What?
'Cause, like, a
where
month, we're
we
only
can
going-
travel to. You may not come back though if you're going to
Okay.
couple planets out, but there's a possibility that you may come
Yeah, with
back.
present time stuff, nah, I'd stick with water.
You
I
think
want to
so?
explore the water. Yeah, I'd like to explore the ocean if it's with like our present like technology that we have. Yeah,
It's crazy. I mean,
He
after,
knows what's up.
after
He
Ocean
knows what's
Gate,
up.
I'd go. I'd go. I'd go
nah,
space traveling.
you just got to take what James Cameron has. That man actually made it down there and came back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just not it's not a carbon fiber situation.
Yeah.
You got to dress for the occasion.
Exactly.
Don't wear carbon fiber to the ocean floor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Don't bring a Speedo suit to a party. Yeah, absolutely.
Yo, for
Right.
real. Yeah.
No, I would
Mhm.
100% still stick with space. If I were not to come back and I were to
Mhm.
find Crew Pod, I think I'd be very happy. Honest. You guys won't know. I mean, you guys are over here, you probably like crying for me, just mourning
Ugh.
just mourning for me, but you know what? It's all right. I'm somewhere alive and people may not know it, but
Z, we're gonna throw a party.
that's crazy. Anything else that you guys want to add in? Space or sea?
Nah, I think I'm good.
I
Actually,
think I'm good.
you know what?
Oh,
Let's leave off on this because I've always thought this one was interesting, and this has to do with the sea, the ocean. So, 1997, the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. I know it's a lot. NOAA.
NOAA.
Huh?
I've heard of them.
Yeah, they detected a ultra low frequency, high amplitude underwater sound. They called it the bloop.
The bloop.
This bloop was highly questioned around the internet for years because there's an actual sound on it. And that's what it sounds like. Bloop. Like just in the middle of the ocean, just random, right?
Like that?
Yeah. And it was questioned, it was theorized for the longest time until scientists from NOAA found it was actually just an iceberg cracking and breaking away from a glacier.
And here I was all excited for
Damn.
undersea aliens. Are you kidding me? What a
but, like,
disappointment.
The fact that like anything if we find something that's just out of the ordinary, we're all just like, oh, our minds are just like, oh, this has got to be something. This has got to be something big. It's Megalodon. It's something.
It's Megalodon.
I like the idea of funding both. They are super interesting because we will not understand all of it in our lifetime.
It's
No.
sad, isn't it? Isn't that really sad?
It is.
That we
It
might
is.
not we might not be able to see, like maybe our children's children maybe at
Yeah.
that
Maybe.
point will be
But
able
I want to
to
know. Like it sucks that that we won't
here.
see.
hopefully get your shit together, guys. Just
We should.
if you're
Yeah,
watching
right?
this,
Come on.
stop
on.
using carbon fiber. Just get your
I love
stuff
it.
together.
But at least though, by the end of our lives, hopefully if we all live long lives, we should see some things. We can't predict what of all of this we might envision, but think about people who are like 80, 90 years old today. The things they've gotten to see in the last 20 years of their life have probably been but like that's why they can't use the technology because it's like
Yeah.
space age technology to them. So I hope we get some cool surprises at the end. I hope we get to see some neat stuff before
love
we
it.
kick it.
I'd love
Yeah.
to as well. Well, guys, if you want to see more neat stuff and hear more neat stuff wherever you guys are watching, remember we guys are on YouTube, we're on podcast, Spotify for the podcast, and we will have more having future episodes for funding the future. With that said, guys, please comment down below or leave a review for us on what you guys think of how you feel where we should fund our future for our kids, dogs. You may not want kids. It's a possibility.
Dogs are children.
But guys, don't forget to leave a follow, a subscription, and we appreciate you guys for watching. And we will see you guys on the next one. Bye!
Deuces.
I'm waiting and waiting around, yeah. Switch it up, take it, set me on a trip, fill it up. Got a new style, better way, ready, I'm ready, trying to be steady, walking on a thin line. Pick it back, ripping back.